Welcome to Dreaded. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe because on this channel, we dig deep into the darkest truths, the stories they tried to bury, and the betrayals that scarred entire generations. And today, we uncover one of the most shameful miscarriages of justice in modern America, the tragedy of the Central Park Five. What if your childhood was stolen, not because of what you did, but because of who you are? What if your face, your skin color, your very existence became a crime in the eyes of the system that was supposed to protect you? This is the story of five boys, yes, children, who became symbols of how blind justice can see race all too clearly, and how lies can cage innocence. It was April 19th, 1989, Central Park, New York City. The city was buzzing with tension, fear, and the rising flames of crime in the so-called crack epidemic era. That night, a young white woman, a 28-year-old investment banker named Trisha Mayali, went jogging in the park. She was brutally attacked, beaten nearly to death, and raped. The crime shocked the nation. She was found unconscious, her skull fractured, her body left broken. Newspapers exploded with headlines. TV anchors fueled the panic, and the city demanded blood. Within hours, police launched a manhunt, but they weren't looking for the truth. They were looking for scapegoats. And they found them. 5 Black and Latino boys, Yusef Salaam, Kevin Richardson, Antron McCray, Raymond Santana, and Corey Wise. They were just kids, between 14 and 16 years old. Teenagers who had gone into the park that night, like dozens of other kids, not knowing their lives were about to be destroyed forever. The police dragged them into custody, but they didn't have evidence. No DNA, no witnesses tying them to the rape. Nothing. But what they did have was power, fear, and an agenda. For hours, some reports say up to 30 hours, these boys were interrogated without food, without rest, without their parents or lawyers present. Imagine being 14 years old, trapped in a cold police room, surrounded by angry detectives, told that the only way out is to say what they want to hear. Imagine being beaten, threatened, manipulated until you break. That's what happened. The boys were coerced into signing false confessions. They were told, if you just say you did this part, you can go home. But they never went home. They confessed to crimes they didn't commit, contradictions all over their statements, stories that didn't match each other, didn't match the evidence, didn't match reality. Yet the police paraded those taped confessions to the media as the ultimate proof, and the city devoured it. Headlines screamed wilding. The press called them a wolf pack. Politicians demanded the harshest penalties. Even Donald Trump, then just a wealthy real estate mogul, took out full-page ads in New York newspapers demanding the return of the death penalty. 5 children became monsters in the eyes of the world before their trial even began. Their families were devastated. Mothers begged for justice. Fathers cried out, but their voices were drowned in the tidal wave of hate. In 1990, the trials began. There was no DNA evidence connecting them to the rape. In fact, the semen found inside the victim didn't match any of them. But that didn't matter. The confessions, coerced, contradictory, false, were enough. The prosecutors, led by Linda Farstein and Elizabeth Lederer, built their case on fear and racism. They painted a picture of savage, uncontrollable youth preying on an innocent woman, and the jury bought it. In 1990, all 5 boys were convicted. Sentences ranged from 5 to 15 years. They entered prison as children and left as broken men. Corey Wise, the oldest, was sent to Rikers Island at just 16 years old, one of the most brutal prisons in America. He endured beatings, solitary confinement, years of suffering. The others, Yusuf, Raymond, Kevin, Antron, lost their teenage years, their chance at education. Their families were torn apart by shame and poverty. Imagine watching the world move on while you rot in a cell for something you never did. But the truth has a way of clawing its way back. In 2002, more than a decade later, a man named Matthias Reyes, already serving a life sentence for murder and rape, confessed that he alone was responsible for the Central Park attack. His DNA matched the crime scene perfectly. The truth was undeniable. The Central Park Five were innocent. In December 2002, their convictions were vacated. The same system that destroyed their lives now quietly admitted its mistake. But what do you give to a man whose childhood you've stolen? How do you repay years of lost freedom, shattered families, and trauma that never heals? In 2014, the city of New York settled with the men, now called the Exonerated Five, for $41 million. But no amount of money can erase the pain, the humiliation, the injustice. And here's the bitter truth. No police officer, no prosecutor, no politician who fueled the hysteria paid any price. Linda Farstein built a successful career as an author. Donald Trump never apologized. The newspapers never retracted their headlines. The system moved on while 5 men carried scars for life. The story of the Central Park Five is not just about one crime. It's about how fear, racism, and power can blind a society. It's about how the media can turn children into monsters overnight. It's about how the justice system, the very institution meant to protect, can become a weapon of oppression. Even today, the Exonerated Five speak out, sharing their pain, their stolen years, so the world will never forget. Because forgetting is the greatest injustice of all. This story should make you angry. It should make you question everything you thought you knew about fairness and law. Because if it could happen to them, it can happen to anyone. Thank you for watching this dark journey into the truth. If you found value in this story, subscribe to Dreaded for more deep dives into the hidden, painful realities they don't want you to remember. And before you leave, let me ask you this. Do you think the system has truly changed? Or are we still living in a world where innocence can be destroyed with a headline? Tell me what you think in the comments.